I were reared together, same area, same farm, or same, might say, adjoining farms. We were what I believe was thought of as being good boys. We were constantly in fisticuffs, it's commonly called fighting, but that wasn't anything. That was normal Ozark mountain boys. I asked Charlie one day, I said, I'm going to sell my old cow or my old hog I had. It weighed about 300 pounds, one or the other. Arlie believed it was probably the hog I sold, and I think it was my milk cow. Anyway, I'd already sold this, and I was carrying around this money and spending it about as fast as I could possibly spend it, $50 worth of it in hard times. And I asked Charlie one day if he would like to hitchhike to California. He said he would. He'd like to go to California. Neither one of us had ever been farther than Springfield, Missouri, or, as far as we'd ever been, Springfield, Missouri, 20-some miles from where we lived. So, he asked his father and mother, Andrew and Holly Watson. I asked my father and mother, Newt and Maud Jacobson. I don't know how long it took Arlie and I to negotiate that with our parents, but we finally got okay. Definitely said, go ahead, boys. We were very young teenagers. Go ahead, be very, very careful now. There'll be a lot of people out there, a lot of hazards. They really believed that we could take care of ourselves, and we did too. So we left on Highway 60 between Seymour and Diggins, Missouri, heading for Springfield. Of course, we were going the wrong way, in a sense. We were going west when we should have been probably going east. If we'd have gone east, we'd have probably got to New York. But we headed west. That's about all we needed to know. California was on the west coast, and that was as much as we needed. We hitchhiked a ride, got in the back seat. I swear I don't know how many children there was there, but there were children everywhere in this big old car. Big, heavy-set, obese, fat woman driving. Arms as big as my legs, much bigger probably. And she was dictating to these kids and asking us where we were going and all kinds of questions, and then in between each question she would holler at a kid. We finally got into Springfield. A long, hard trip. Only 20-some miles, maybe 26, 7 miles. We got into Springfield. And I made mention to Arlie, I said, let's get on a freight train. I can't stand any more of that hitchhiking. That's too heavy for us. Well, it was all right with Arlie, so we went over the railroad track and caught a freight train, heading for California. Now, if there ever was any trip that could have possibly been worse than going to California on a freight train, some 1,700 miles. And that's not like the crow flies either. You get on so many different trains, on and off, and you get chased, and almost everything happens. We headed out on a freight train, climbed right up on top and sat down on a crosswalk. And I don't know how far we got. We didn't get far, and we ran off. The brakeman or someone, a railroad policeman, they call them railroad dicks, and appropriately named. They were mean, and they didn't like kids whatsoever. They didn't have any reason to think but what we didn't run away from home. And we had permission, so we were on our own. We rode train after train. They run us off. We catch it going out. We could run faster than they could, or at least we thought we could. At least we could run fast enough to catch their train when it was going too fast for them to catch us. You grab the rung on the train on the front end of the boxcar. Might draw attention, you never catch the rear end of a boxcar because it may throw you right in between the cars and end of the wheels. Always catch the front end in case you happen to be intending to hobo, which I doubt. And we rode, laughed, we had plenty of money, for we never bought anything. We never went to a restaurant. We always went to a grocery store and got us some cold cuts or a can of something, pork and beans or something. And we moved on. We learned to ride in the reefer, which is, in those days they had reefers that would put your ice in to keep a refrigerated boxcar. And when there was no ice and the boxcar was empty, we would get in this reefer, which is always nice and cool, and warm when it's cold and cool when it was hot. It was just a nice place to ride a freight train. We were riding along and always put the catch between the lid that goes down into the reefer and the case around it, so that we wouldn't get trapped into that place. No one could trap us. They'd have to raise the lid in order to put this angle iron or the lock or the catch. So we could see that or hear that, and there's no way anyone's going to lock us in there unless they were just intentionally doing it. Well, we rode several of those. We got thrown out. Someone would raise the lid, and we'd head for that lid right now. We'd after that lid, and there would be one of the railroad men looking at us with mean, cruel eyes, and never did hit us though on the going to California. We really had a great time. We rode everything except what they call the rods. We never rode the rods. That's underneath the boxcar. The rods goes back and forth for the braking system, I suppose. And there are hobos that have ridden those, I'm sure. I saw it in a movie later on. It looked for real, but we never did. I don't know how they could ride them under with all that rocks and chaff, or whatever, not chaff, but cinders and all that stuff flying all over you, pounding you. I don't know how they could ride under there. Anyway, we never did do that. We either rode on top of the boxcar, between the boxcars, or in the reefer, or in an empty boxcar. If we got an empty boxcar, we always carried a tube of floor or a big club or something with us to put between the door so it couldn't possibly close on us. The damn boxcar door slams shut on you and locks. You're in there until someone lets you out, and that may be too late. We knew how to do that. The only thing that ever bothered us about that was some of the hobos. It made us very disgusted. Some of the hobos would use one end or other of the boxcar for a tullet and the wastes and everything else, and that was very disgusting. I suppose that's why the railroad don't like hobos. It wasn't very often, but it did happen. And Arlie and I never got ourselves in a position where we had to do anything like that. That was just too disgusting for us. At that time, neither one of us smoked cigarettes. Neither one of us drank whiskey at all, beer or anything else. So all we needed was just a little bit of food. And gosh, we probably weighed 115 pounds, 16 pounds, no more than that. Didn't take much food. We had on, we carried nothing with us except a pair of pants, like dress pants, and a dress shirt, and a pair of overalls, and a heavy overall shirt like. And that's all we had. We didn't need anything else. We were planning on this to get, when we got to California, we'd throw the overalls away and have our cleanest dirty clothes on. We got to San Bernardino, I suppose after 10 days or 2 weeks. Not that long to get 1,700 miles. And we got us a place, a very inexpensive hotel. And I really believe it was a hotel that I found out many years later that I know it had an elevator. That time it's probably the only one in town. I believe it was the hotel elevator that President Bain Johnson was a bellhop or an elevator operator. I believe the elevator operator when he between his more like us, I suppose. He's in between his college education and his wild youth. But I understand he did do that in San Bernardino. It's quite obvious to me today that it was the same hotel. That made it somewhat famous. We knew nothing about that though. And we got a room with a bed, and the bed had dirty sheets on it, spots, memory spots or something. And so we just slept on this bed, and I got in the shower, bathtub, scrubbed up, and asked Arlie, because we both smell like two railroad bums should smell. And Arlie didn't want to do that. He wanted to go to bed, he wanted to go to sleep, he wanted to hit that bed. Well, we got an argument, and he left. And after he left, and he was gone about a half an hour, I said, shoot, I can't have that. I can't let my buddy go away. I didn't mean anything. If he wanted to come back here and sleep in my damn bed, I don't give a damn whether he ever showers again or not. So I went out looking for my buddy, went down the railroad track. Now, after spending all this time on the railroad, I knew about where he would probably be. He would be in a boxcar, sound asleep, somewhere, an empty boxcar. When I go down this huge railroad yard, San Bernardino, from car to car, car to car, and I found one that had the old club or a board or 2x4 or something in it, and I thought, well, that must be right where Arlie is. I went over and slammed the door open, and there was Arlie, and I was so happy to see him. And it looked like he was happy to see me too. So we went back up and went to bed, slept, got up, and Arlie showered up, scrubbed up, and we brushed up and started for Pomona out of San Bernardino. We got to Colton, and we got ran off by the Colton with a big, and still is, a huge railroad yard. We got ran off. We got walked over to the edge of the yard, and the railroad man told us, there's the little town over there, Colton. You go over and hit the highway, and if I ever see you in this railroad yard again, I'll put you on chain gang. And he was very glad to explain us all about the chain gang. Well, I guess he thought he really scared the devil out of us. Anyway, we went back and got out the end of the yard towards L.A. and going to do our same deal. Catch that train going so fast that he wouldn't be able to catch us. And lo and be darned, here came a police car. I don't know how far we got in, somewhere in between there and Los Angeles. Anyway, the police came after us. Well, they pulled up and hollered at us, told us come over. Well, we just like two rabbits, we ran the opposite direction from them and got over in a residential district, and woe and be damned, here they didn't come up right beside us, drove right up beside us and told us to get in the car, and they got out and made sure we got in, and they were not easy about it either. They put us in the back seat, and they told me to get that smile off my face. Well, I had a perpetual smile, at least it looked like it. Little old young baby face, it just looked like a smile. We're riding along towards Los Angeles. I don't know whether they were sheriffs or whether they were policemen, but they looked like police to me. Everybody looked like police to me then if they had a uniform on. We were sitting back there, and I still got this little smile, and Robbie smiled over at Art a little bit. And I suppose he saw me in a rearview mirror or something. Anyway, he reached around and slapped me across the face. with the boniest darn fingers I ever figured anybody could ever have. They must have been no meat on them at all. Just like hit me with 4 or 5 bones and put 4 red streaks right across my face. You know, I get that damn smile off your face. You know, I couldn't get no smile off of my face. That's just the way my face was. But I did frown a little bit. That helped a little bit. It's a wonder he didn't say, well, quit frowning, quit scowling at me, and hit me again, but he didn't. We ended up in jail in Los Angeles. We got scrubbed up. Had to go to court. Went to the court. No handcuffs, no nothing. They wasn't worried about us tearing anyone apart. We were too small and too young. Went up, this judge setting up on way up high, higher than I've seen since, up on her bench, or whatever you call it. Podium, it wasn't a podium, it was just a bench. And she had on a pair of glasses. And she must not have weighed much more than we did. And to us, very old. She's probably 40 years old, but to us, that's very, very old. And she took her glasses off, or else she looked down over her glasses, I believe it was, and looked at us. We were standing right up in front of her, and I mean right up by the bar. And she stretched up and leaned over and looked at us, and I never felt so good in my life. She said, "You're just babies." Well, Arlie and I both knew right then we were in business. And she asked us where we were going, and we said we were going to go to Pomona to see my brother and see Arlie's uncle. And she says something about, well, now you be very, very careful now. And we told her she asked us where we came from. We told her Missouri. In Seymour, Missouri, near Springfield. And asked us if we had successfully ridden those freight trains all that way, and we said, yes, we had. And I don't know, but I imagine she says something about, to us or to herself, well, if these 2 railroad rats could make it out here, they can probably make another 30 miles to Pomona. Anyway, she turned us loose. And some dressed up dude of some kind walked out the hallway with us, and she must have sent him out there, because he asked us if we had money, and we told him yes, we have plenty of money. And he said, well, that's fine then, go ahead, fellas. And so I guess we caught the bus out to Pomona. I'd forgotten just how that worked out. Of course, this was in the summertime, on our summer vacation from school back in Seymour. And in Pomona, we probably had a tan on our face and hands that would put the California beachcombers to shame. We certainly were dark and felt good, felt real good, just as healthy as anyone could be. And we got to Pomona. Lawrence and his wife, Carol, gave us a good reception, treated us very, very nice, very, very nice. And so I might mention that Arlie, Edward Watson, Eugene, Edwin Jacobson were located now for the next couple of 3 weeks. I believe we stayed there 3 weeks. Hung around town and really enjoyed ourselves. Had an awfully good vacation. Lawrence and Carol were both reasonably employed. I believe Larry worked for a paper mill, Pomona, called Fernson's paper mill. I believe at that given time that Carol worked for Wright Brothers and Rice, one of the largest furniture stores in downtown Pomona, in the accounting department, as Carol was very after that. She was intelligent, always smart, always good on any writing or, I suppose, mathematics also, to be in the accounting department. She's a success at that. They had an income. Of course, there's small income in those days. Proportional to other people, I suppose it was all right. Probably classed as middle class. And it's time now for us to catch the next train out of town for Missouri, get ourselves back and be here to go to school that fall. Well, Lawrence came forward and gave us $7. He did make mention a few times later on in life that that was shameful. It wasn't nearly enough. But anyway, it was $7. As we had spent our money around, whatever we had left, we had finally spent that. I don't know whether we needed the $7 or not, but it was appreciated. We could have probably got to Missouri. There was a boat at sea one time, just a small boat with half a dozen people on it that survived for 3 weeks. Well, if they could survive on a boat for 3 weeks without food and only the water they could catch on rainstorms, why, we could have probably made it through the soup lines, cantaloupe harvest, and got back home all right within our 2-week time. We were time for us to catch the train, as I repeat. We got down in Pomona there about 8 or 9 o'clock, dark at night. It didn't make any difference to us whether we left town in dark or whether we left town in daytime. We could catch a train and whether it's dark or whether it's day, it didn't make any difference. It really didn't make any difference to us at all. But we got the idea that we had heard a little about the riding the blinds. Well, blinds is right behind the engine on a passenger train. Now, passenger trains and passenger cars, they have a indentation in the front and rear where people go between cars. And there's we decided we were going to catch the passenger train. Well, we got up along beside the engine of this passenger train, and in those days, of course, they were all steam engines. And that iron engine was puffing, storming, and all the steam was bellowing out of it. Well, it was hissing like a huge animal. And it was kind of cool that night, but we just stood there and shook like leaves as if it was zero weather. And finally we got aboard. Harley was on one side and I was in the other. Little coves there they have are just ideal places to sit down and kind of out of the way of everything. No one can see you. And the heat from the engine came back in there, and it was so nice and comfortable. And that engine train took off, and there was none of that jerking and getting all the cars going like a freight train has to do. They have to back up and go ahead and jerk and to get all the cars all moving. My land, it just took off as smooth as could be with this huge steam engine in front of it. There was no toil for the engine. We just thought, well, my land. We waved at each other and smiled at each other. Of course, we couldn't hear each other. But we were so happy about this, and we got I think, from Pomona to Colton, I believe it was 15 to 17 miles. Well, they stopped in Colton, which is a repeat from prior statements, is a very huge railroad yard. They stopped there. Some railroad man shiniest light up there. I suppose they saw us get aboard in Pomona. He asked us to climb down, of which, of course, we did without any argument. And he said, "Now, let's go, fellas, or boys," or whatever he said. And all the way over again, here's same old Colton yard. Walked us over the edge of it and told us all along the way, he was telling us, you were too good to ride a freight train. You want to ride a passenger train. Well, why don't you get out and work and get you some money and ride a passenger? Oh, he went on and on and on. And he took us over to the edge of the railroad yard. Told us don't come back on the yard again, which we agreed on that. We walked about 2 blocks toward the inner part of town. And same routine, over a couple blocks, back a couple blocks, we were back on the big yard. We, as we always usually tried to do, we tried to get on out to the edge of the yard going the direction that we wished to go, so we could catch a fast freight. And we got aboard a freight train. That was the last passenger train that we rode. He must have scared us pretty good, but it was sure a dandy ride for 15 miles. And we rode, we got somewhere, probably Tucumcari, New Mexico. We got off there after passing through San Bernardino and many other little towns. We got off there and we found a place where they sold soup for a nickel. There was a regular line up there. We wondered what the line was all about. We went up there and there was a line for soup. It wasn't a free soup line, it was a nickel bowl. And they were very careful about you bringing our bowls back. Anyway, we got a nickel bowl of delicious bean soup, just positively hot as the dickens and delicious. Probably had a little too much hot sauce in it for us, and hot Mexican peppers and what they eat in California, Arizona, New Mexico, all those states, southern western states, they all get a very well accustomed to eating a lot of hot peppers, but it was delicious. And we either choked that down, but then we softened up our mouths and throats and vocal cords and probably everything else with some cantaloupe that was free. All the cantaloupe you could eat, right from harvest, just real cantaloupe. And we ate a lot of cantaloupe and caught the next train out, just like as if we were tourists. Of course, we didn't know anything about being a tourist at that given time, but we, looking back, we were really genuine tourists. We looked at things too. We didn't just get on the train. We looked at a lot of things. We enjoyed a lot of things. We explored a little bit in those towns when we got off to see where in the world everything was. We got aboard in Tucumcari and worked our way to Amarillo, Texas. Amarillo, Texas was one of our bad situations. We got off there to do our little grocery shopping. Arlie usually always did the grocery shopping, as he seemed to like that, take some money and go do a little shopping. And we were ready to leave town. Got ran off the train. I mean, very belligerent. Railroad Dick. He really told us where to go. No uncertain words, probably some of the worst words we'd ever heard in our lives. We'd heard some pretty bad ones back on the farm even. They do a little swearing back there too. Anyway, we tried this a couple more times. And that son of a gun, he could catch that train just as fast as we could. He had all the tricks of the game. One of his best ones. But we catch a train. Well, then he'd get on the train up behind the engine and walk the whole darn train down the catwalk, as we always call it. At least I do. There's another name for it, I'm sure. Then he'd walk right down. And there's no way we could be between the boxcars without that rascal pounding his darn club on the top of the boxcar. No, jump! Well, hell, the train would be going fast. You can catch it, maybe you can catch it, but just a jump, you go over and over and over. But we learned how to do some of that, too. We could get off on the train. We could handle that. Maybe a little skin mark here and there, but we could handle that. Then we walked back for 3 days and 3 nights. We tried to catch a train out of that Amarillo yard to Oklahoma City, and we couldn't make it. And believe you me, that son of a gun, we caught one bastard he could catch one time. He gave it a shot, but he lost his hold. And it'd be damn if he didn't wave the engineer to slow the train down so he could get us off. Now that was something that we had not ran across yet. Where he could wave the engineer to slow the damn freight train down and get 2 darn hobos off of his train. Well, it ended up to be a notorious railroad security, police, railroad police, or railroad dick. He was a latter. He was the worst kind of a specimen of a human being, if I may use that word over and over. Maybe I don't even see it right, I don't know. And we got out on the side of the railroad, and we're still trying to plot how we're going to beat that son of a gun. We can beat him 24 hours a day, somewhere or other. But I guess he just caught every train going to Oklahoma City every single day. And there's not one every hour, so he had his time off too, evidently. Or else he was out to make darn sure we never got on that train to Oklahoma City. But there wasn't many hobos around there on the Rock Island going to Oklahoma City. I believe it was the Rock Island, I'm quite sure it was. And maybe it was a Santa Fe, I don't know. Anyway, we were alongside the right-of-way between the little side street and the railroad. We were in there between doing our meditating, just walking along. We're off the railroad now. We're not on the railroad, we're still on their property. A car drove up along the side road. Just as pleasant as anyone could ever be, this fellow was. He waved at us so friendly, so pleasant in this little car he had. And he got out and came over, and we wasn't paying much attention to him because we didn't want to be involved with any friendly people waving at us. But he came over, and we were still walking. He came over, and it didn't recognize until it was too late. And he was Amarillo Red. He hit me with a billy club at the side of my eye, just above my eye. And my eye closed almost immediately. I'd say within an hour from then, that eye was completely closed. At least within an hour and a half, 2 hours, it was completely closed. Really wrapped me one. Well, he turned on Harley then. And he got Harley, which I didn't see. But I am ready to get out of there. And I hollered at Harley. I said, "Run, Harley, run, let's go." Or something like that. And that darn Amarillo Red got Harley mixed up in some barbed wire that was loose along the right-of-way there and coiled up in a bunch of coils. And he didn't hit Harley enough to hurt him. He just kept hitting him hard, good whops on his back, and Harley was trying to get out of that wire so he could run. And Harley finally got out of there. And he must have been hit 5 or 6, 7 times. Not brutally like he hit me, but close to it. There was really no huge bruises on Harley. But the barbed wire just about ate him alive. Scratched his arms, scratched his legs, tore his clothes, somewhat. Not too bad on his clothes, but it did scratch him up. Very good. Arlie got away, and we ran. But no way did I abandon my buddy. But by the time I get myself oriented and what the hell to do, Arlie got through the wire and got out of there. And immediately they came running over to me, and we took off like two, made reference again. I don't believe these were two just ordinary cottontails. These were jackrabbits. Well, we really got out of there. We got away from him and got ourselves reorganized. We talked to a couple of hobos and asked them how to get out of town. We got away from whatever railroad we were on, got away onto another railroad. It was going to Wichita, Kansas. Well, we got, I guess that, as I found out later, that the railroad going to Wichita, the security and the railroad men, all of them, were so disgusted with Amarillo Red that they wouldn't even have anything to do with him. Found that out later, and that was well stated to me, quite by several different people. Railroad bums or hobos. They're not bums, they're hobos. And later on, as I will mention. Anyway, we got right aboard that with no trouble. I believe they even let us step on top of the boxcar and just look things over with other hobos up and down. Some riding between the boxcars, some on top, some in the car. And they're just on their way to get out of Amarillo, so they had a fairly good passenger number. And we went to Wichita. Walked out of Wichita quite a ways to get out into the country there, a little get away from the railroad for a while. I suppose it was probably the Municipal Water Company of Wichita, or at least one of their lakes or big, huge reservoirs. We got out there under some scrub tree, and just perfect. There wasn't anyone you could see. You couldn't see anyone for miles around you. Just no one around. And we washed up, got out in this little old big reservoir, and did a little paddling around. Both of us swim a little bit, but not a whole lot, but we could swim. Now we swam around, washed our clothes, washed everything. And either laid them, I think we found a bush there or something, we laid them over. Laid them all in the bush. Sun was hot and warm, or hot and warm, hot. And we just enjoyed ourselves in that, probably the water company's reservoir. If it had cost, we'd have probably been back on another chain gang somewhere, which we never got on arrested, or we got arrested, we never got on any chain gang, we never got in anything else except the little fiasco in L.A. And our clothes dried and all, we didn't have any soap, of course, we didn't have anything like that, we didn't need any. We swam around in our clothes for quite a while, and then we scrubbed them by hand a little bit. Well, my land, we got those cinders and all that stuff right out of them, and they looked quite good for us. And we get on the Frisco, Springfield, Missouri. Well, Frisco was our old local train that went by our farms. We kind of felt like we were at home riding to Frisco. And I believe that's where it dead-ended with Wichita. Frisco was originally being built to go to San Francisco. That was St. Louis to San Francisco, so they call it the Frisco line. But I guess they went broke, or depression came along and they couldn't go any further. We got aboard the Frisco to Springfield. No problem, just our routine. We had probably got chased a couple of times, but that was no problem. We got right on into Springfield. Might call our hometown, at least the major town. And Arlie, we got into Seymour. Arlie, bless him. He did the grocery buying, as I've stated before. And we were in all theory in my mind, we were broke. But Arlie being a frugal fellow, my goodness, if he didn't come up with enough money, we split it 50-50 for us to have a little change in our pocket and plus enough for a haircut. Now, I was so happy when he brought out that money and we split it up. My goodness, I was just so happy because I didn't want to go home without a haircut. I'd probably been talking about that all the way from California. And I just wanted so much to get a haircut before I went home. And he came up with that money. My gosh, I just happy. It just made my whole trip, really. Now let's get in our hometown with little cinders on us. Why, my lands, everyone in town that knew us, and most everyone in town knew us, they knew we had gone to California. They just thought we were hitchhiking. For us to go into town with a little bit of cinders on us from the railroad didn't make any difference whatsoever. And Arlie, in the barber shop, all the town loafers, customers, street people looking in the window would come in, all gathered around and wanted to know about California and the trip to California. Well, that is one time that I certainly didn't have to embroidery anything. I didn't have to exaggerate. I could tell them what little happened that they couldn't hardly believe and probably didn't believe. But it was quite a yarn that I gave them. They didn't hardly want me to leave the barber shop. They just kept pounding on my head, but I finally strutted out there and strutted up the street and went home. I wish to say what a beautiful vacation for two Ozark Mountain boys.